and we're the last team standing. You guys are the greatest. That means hurry up, right?
Once all three things came into play, we said, good team. I'm gonna be drunk before I even drink anything.
Will the sun set on this 2021 season? Tonight, for the first time in these playoffs, Phoenix faces elimination, looking to force a Game 7 while the Bucks have a chance to celebrate their first title in 50 years on their home court. And with 68,000 strong in the Deer District, look at that scene. It's Game 6, and we have you covered for the next hour live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and the ESPN app. Welcome into this NBA Finals edition of Hoop Streams. I'm Cassidy Hubbarth alongside David Jacoby. We're both in NYC, and Zach Lowe joins us from his home out east as well. And guys, I have to start this off by apologizing to the city of Milwaukee. I think at the beginning of this series, I kind of, I was a little harsh saying that, the Deer District is a terrible name. I stand by that. Didn't hold a candle to Jurassic Park. 68,000 strong out there tonight, guys.
They took a flamethrower to Jurassic Park. They didn't just hold a candle to it.
I mean, it's impressive. It's impressive. Zach, how you feeling about Game 6 tonight?
You're right about the name, by the way. They need to do better than Deer District. I'm excited for Game 6. I cannot be excited for Game 6. The trophy's in the building. It's a must-win for the Suns. And if the Bucks win, it's over. And if the Bucks lose, we get a Game 7. Who doesn't love a Game 7 except for Milwaukee fans?
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, you have an article on ESPN Plus right now about what the Bucks have been doing to the Suns' offense. Can you describe why you say Phoenix needs preposterous shooting to win this game?
Because they're not getting anything but the worst shots, which are contested mid-range jumpers. They happen to have two guys in Devin Booker and Chris Paul who are awesome at contested mid-range jumpers, so their Phoenix offense has still been really good, but they're not getting any threes, and they're not getting any shots at the rim, and that's because the Bucks are basically saying, pick and roll, we'll play you 2-on-2. We're not helping. Beat us with mid-range jumpers. When you go switch everything and you hunt our weakest defenders like Pat Connaughton, fine, have at it. If you beat him, we got Giannis waiting on the back line. We're not sending help from the outside, and the math just starts to become overwhelming for Phoenix. They need to shoot so well because Milwaukee is getting much better shots than they are. If they have an off shooting night tonight, even a little bit, it's curtains.
And Jacoby, have the Bucks figured out the Suns?
No, they have not. Let's not forget what we just saw in Game 4 and Game 5. We saw two historic, memorable, legendary, stunning, dare I say, freakish plays in the waning seconds of the ball game from Giannis Antetokounmpo to bring the Bucks the win. Without those two plays, we could be not having a Game 6. This series could be over. I mean, I think we need to remember just how close the last two games were. However, the Bucks are asking a lot of questions of the Suns. I mean, let's just celebrate these two plays. This is how razor thin the line between defeat and victory is. So I don't think they've figured them out, but they're asking a lot of questions, especially for the transition points they get, the points in the paint that they get, offensive rebounding that they're getting. We're going to need a big performance from the Suns, much like the Bucks had from all their players in Game 5 for them to win this one extended series.
Jacoby, one question you've been asking a lot on Twitter is whether or not CP3 is healthy. He's answered that question many times, saying that he's fine. Everything's fine with that wrist. But you're dubious. If he's not 100%, if, Monty Williams understands that he's not 100%, what options do the Suns have with him?
Well, I think the option, regardless if he's 100% or not, is to get the ball to Chris Paul and let him orchestrate the offense. And the reason I feel like he might be injured is all that tape that he's wearing around the wrist. He's got tape on his fingers. He's got tape on his wrist. Like, he's got tape everywhere. And there's a couple cutaways where you see him after a contact play kind of look down at his hand. No, I don't think he would ever admit during a series that he is injured. But it could be kind of like LeBron that one year, where in the final press conference after a loss, you'll see a brace around his hand.
So, Zach, I mean, what do you expect to see out of CP3 tonight?
I expect Devin Booker to be running a lot of the offense when they're both on the floor together, and I expect Monty Williams to have campaign on the floor with Chris Paul when Devin Booker is off the floor, because those are the minutes where Phoenix has been getting absolutely slaughtered. And I don't know if he's healthy or not, but I know in those minutes when Devin Booker is resting, if he rests at all this game, by the way, who knows, we might have a Kevin Durant 48-minute game from him tonight. That's what they might need. Chris Paul, if he's got an extra gear in him, if he's got a throwback gear in him, those are the minutes when he needs to show it. But I think tonight he's going to play both on the ball and off the ball, just like always. And he's got to make shots, and he's got to make some mid-range shots too, or else the Suns are in trouble.
Well, look, it's not over yet. But Zach, in reviewing these games 1 through 5, what are you going to remember most? Without obviously Game 6, a decisive Game 6 yet to be played, what has stood out to you the most about this series so far?
Well, first of all, the Jrue Holiday lob to Giannis is just an all-time, yes. What the hell is going on? He's actually going to throw that pass. Oh, my God, it worked. So that's one. And just Giannis, what Giannis is doing, like 2 weeks ago or whenever it was, we thought his season was over. And now he's just like 32, 15, and 5 in the NBA Finals on 65% shooting. The block on Ayton, all of that, and how the Bucks have just sort of gradually walked this series back after those first 2 games where Phoenix just shot the lights out. The crowd was going crazy. The Bucks are a resilient, tough team. Even Jrue Holiday has those bad shooting game. When the Bucks need it most, all of a sudden Jrue Holiday's on fire. It just seems to be a different kind of way to win every game for them.
I mean, you mentioned the alley-oop. Of course, there was the block. And those are 2 finals moments already. I also want to say that another finals moment for me, for Giannis, was how he described his maturation of his mentality, saying when you talk about the past, that's your ego talking. When you talk about focus on the future, that's your pride talking. When you focus on the present, that's humility. And I mean, for someone who says that he doesn't really like talking to the media, he has been so candid. He has been so open. He has been so present during these NBA finals. He's had so many incredible moments, Zach. Do you feel like, he's 26 years old. We've seen a progression, 2-time MVP. What do you think this says about Giannis's place in this league if he were to take home the title tonight?
That's the thing. Everyone is asking these questions like, is he the greatest international player ever? Where does he rank among all-time power forwards? When somebody wins a championship, we almost start to write the end of his story. And you're like, he's just 26 years old. He's still young. He's just hitting his prime. He's already won 2 MVPs. And look, we've heard now for the last 2 years, he won the MVP, but he won the MVP, but Kawhi Leonard was the best guy in the playoffs. Oh, he won the MVP, but LeBron James actually deserved it. Well, maybe that was true then, but now he didn't win the MVP, but he's probably been the best player on balance in these playoffs other than Durant, who went out in the second round. He's just been unbelievable. His mid-range game is a little bit more refined. He's been looking comfortable, sort of floaters, hooks, even a Dirk shot now and then. He's just getting better and better and better, and that's the scary thing. I think he's going to be better again next year. Maybe the numbers won't be better, but I think qualitatively he's got more room to grow. Like, we shouldn't be writing the end of his story yet. It's not time to ask those questions.
Yeah, and not only does he have more room to grow, but he, Chris, and Jrue have more room to grow. Giannis thanked Jrue for basically trusting him on that alley-oop. And I just think that was just a culmination of their chemistry coming together. And I'm going to be interested to see what that big 3 does tonight. Zach, Appreciate you coming on Hoop Streams. Of course, check out his work on ESPN.com and ESPN Plus, and listen to the Lowe Post, which includes Brian Windhorst with their Game 6 reaction. And you have Larry Nance as your special guest tonight, correct?
That's correct. Larry Nance Jr. is going to come on and hopefully tell some good stories. He was in a draft class with like 5 of the guys in this series, so he knows a lot of good stuff.
It's going to be awesome. It is a must listen. Thank you so much, Zach. Enjoy the game.
Enjoy the game.
And as the guy said, Drew Holiday, he has been a missing piece. And our Malika Andrews also found Drew and sat down with him ahead of Game 6.
Knocked away and stolen by Holiday. And a pinnacle ball throws it down. Giannis on the alley-oop. What a turnaround.
You know where we got to start. We got to start on the play. Game 5, that steal, and then your assist to Giannis for that oop. Where does that rank in terms of the best plays of your career?
I mean, at this point, I guess it's number 1. It was a really big moment. It was a really crucial time, and I mean, it was a pretty good play. Honestly, I feel like I didn't really make the play. Tuck played awesome defense. Book turned it to me, so I grabbed the ball, and then Giannis made the play. I just threw it up. It felt really good to quiet that crowd, and after Giannis dunked it, scream, and virtually it was over.
So when you're watching back the film then of the oop and the dunk, did you see Giannis' stare down after?
Oh yeah, that was intense. That's what I love to see.
That's what you're gonna do in the morning, when you get out of bed, just.
I'll probably scream. I think I screamed. He stared down, I screamed.
Booker comes for the ball, fires a three. Bang! Devin Booker from downtown.
What is it like to guard a guy like Devin Booker?
It's a challenge. He can score from everywhere. He can score in a variety of ways, and slowing him down is a challenge, but it's also fun to witness, like the offensive performances that he's putting on in the finals and how he's just kind of putting his team on his shoulders.
In what ways does that challenge you to be better?
I don't want him to win. I don't want him to win. I don't want him to score. Last game, they ran a play, and Devin Booker came off like a down screen for a 3, and I was right there, and like on the contest, it was like this, and I touched his hand, and he made it, and I'm like, there's nothing better I could have done defensively. Things like that, I'm like damn, but at the same time, I'm like, that's a hell of a shot. So it's been fun.
The Milwaukee Bucks are 1 win away from their first title in 50 years.
You said it's no excuses. How do you embody that mindset heading into this game?
Honestly, leaving it all out there. Playing as smart as you can, playing as hard as you can, playing for your teammates, the person right next to you. That's the reason why we're here. Nobody did it by themselves. I think to be able to embody what you said is play for your teammates, play for the person next to you.
All right, so they talked about it. Drew Holiday is headed into finals folklore with that alley-oop, and I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think was better, the dunk or the oop in that situation? Like, which took a little bit more gall?
Like the idea of tossing the oop, right? Like, yeah, that is unmitigated gall, as Chrissy just said. I'm going to go with the pass, strictly off the strength of him getting the steal right before that, and then going down the court and say, you know what? Let's go up top with it. Like, and Giannis being down for the cause, but that doesn't happen if Drew isn't willing to do the deal, right?
See, I mean, obviously the alley is what people are talking about. He did what with how much time? I can almost bet, I've never had a conversation with Drew Holiday, that he didn't understand, like, the time, right? You kind of get in that sort of vertigo mindset where it's tunnel vision. Yeah. I see Giannis, the best player on my team, streaking down the court. If I throw it anywhere in the box, he's going to catch it and flush it. So what I would say the most impressive thing is the finish, because you saw how much headroom Giannis had.
Not much at all.
To flush that without like completely decapitating himself.
Right. And Giannis even said, like, to your point about tunnel vision, like he said, I could not tell you what was going on, what the situation was. I just wanted the oop, and I called for it. So
see ball, get ball, give ball, got ball. Of his 13 assists from Game 5, yes, that was by far the prettiest.
Yes.
I mean, it's a coin flip, right? But who are we? Who are we to say
from the couch?
I don't know about that alley-oop from this couch here. But yes, all applause across the board.
Yeah, no doubt.
You talked about how Drew Holiday probably didn't he wasn't paying attention to what was going on around him. He was just like feeling the moment. Did you guys see on social media when they were doing it to that
Oh, yes, Giannis
You know what I'm
stretched my
talking about?
hands.
Like the
yes,
meme- oh my
Giannis
gosh.
stretched- I don't know
Yes,
how I
it was
got that,
so-
Christine, because Lord knows that was not a good description at all.
But I was gonna keep going, but I figured you guys would catch on, like at least at some point when they, you know.
Bro, I'm glad you did, because I was just gonna be like, yeah, Christine, I saw that.
But there's also like the moment. So Drew lets it go.
See, look at
Giannis
It was
goes up
so
to get
perfect.
it, and I couldn't tell if Drew's jump was like, "Oh, did I throw a bad pass?"
Yeah.
or was it just pure excitement? I couldn't
Yeah.
tell. Like when you let it go, he immediately jumps, and there's like apprehension or just outright excitement, and I couldn't decipher.
It is always interesting to see now that we have the 10K vision in slow-mo. Like,
Right.
we can literally track Drew Holiday's eyes as soon as he passes or is approaching half court. Like, he sees Giannis from his
Scans it.
periphery.
Yep.
And then he tries to deke. I can't remember who was chasing him down, but, like, he had that, like, symphonic
I mean,
on
and
cue
also
with
the
it.
fact
So
that
it was-
Giannis is haul-assing at the end of the game like that. Like, and I don't have the cardio capacity to even try to do something like that at the end of a 48-minute game.
They were up by 1 point, right?
Yes.
So even if they lost, I mean, the Suns with just a couple of ticks left would have still had to have an absolute prayer, but it worked out perfectly for them.
So the Suns were up 2-0. It was almost looking like it was going to sway in their favor until the Bucks went on a 3-0 lead. Let's take a flashback quickly to see the last time who did this. 2006 Miami Heat. The Heat finished off the Mavs in Dallas in Game 6. Do you think the Bucks are going to be able to get this done tonight?
Let me first ask, were you a Heat fan at this point?
Or were you a Dallas fan? Because you were a Dallas
Listen,
person too. So this
I
was
didn't
like
move to Dallas until 2016 I moved to Dallas.
Okay.
So technically, no, I didn't have anything to do with
Well,
the,
regardless, like I do think we're setting ourselves up for something like this. It just feels like that energy that you saw out there at the Deer District. Right like that, ain't no way you gonna walk in there without being juiced up for this game.
And imagine if Milwaukee loses tonight trying to get out of the area. That's going to be miserable. You know, Wisconsin has a population of a tick under 6 million. And you can tell me, hey, Gary, half the state is there. And I'd be like, checks out.
Accurate. Yeah.
It looks like it, but it's like 80-something thousand.
Place is thick.
It's crazy. So they better win
Okay, so
for the
this has
sake
been
of public security.
this has been a very interesting finals. Would you say, this is how I'll ask the question.
Okay.
Where does this finals rank in your most entertaining finals?
Okay, game by game, it's been thrilling.
Yeah.
But overall story, I'm going to go back to 2016, right?
Okay.
Like the idea of LeBron and them coming back from down 3-1, the blocked by James iconic moment of the series, like, and just all the history attached to it between two superstars that were well established at that point. I'm going to go overarching storyline. 2016 is probably my favorite finals to date.
Storylines are great. I mean, obviously, the storylines in this finals, they're up there too, right?
Yeah.
When CP exercised those demons. Giannis has every single award, but he
Yeah.
doesn't have the chip just yet. Do players
At
even
26.
like Giannis? If this was KD doing that, every NBA player who's not playing right now would be like, oh my gosh, do you see that? So in terms of like entertainment value, I think it's right up there. I will say this is one of the most refreshing finals in a long time because
Like that.
you mentioned the 2016 finals where it was the Warriors, but we were talking sort of in the green room, or was it 17 with the Warriors, or was it 18 with KD? Like this, we have two new teams.
Yeah.
One of them is about to be a championship for the first time in a long time. New players, new teams, new cities, just absolute new juice. So for those reasons, I think it's one of the most refreshing finals in a very long
A
time.
new superstar is going to be crowned at the end of this, regardless. And I think that is very dope, Gary.
Who would you say has the most on the line? Because you talked about storylines.
CP3.
When it comes to, okay, so you think Chris Paul has the most on the line going into
Yeah,
this finals?
and I mean, like, it's also because of how much credit we gave him to getting this to this point, right? Like, the idea that everything was facilitated by him in Phoenix for them to even reach this pinnacle that they had not reached before as a franchise. Like, this was something that he and he alone was seen as responsible for.
Yeah.
And so, when the pendulum swings the other way, the blame is going to go right there as well. And frankly, he hasn't been the Chris Paul that we had even seen in the Western Conference Finals, right, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, heavy is the head, right, that wears the crown. Like the first two games, oh my gosh, it's CP, 16 years in the making. He deserves all this. Front runner for finals MVP.
Right.
Then game 3, game 4, game 5 happened, and
Yep.
it's like, uh-oh, CP about to blow another playoff lead. What's this going to do for his legacy? So that's my position on it, C-Dub.
Okay, so you mentioned that. If he does not get it done tonight, then I think that Chris Paul is on the Mount Rushmore of NBA players to not get a title. Three guys that are definitely on there. Karl Malone, 2-time MVP, 14-time All-Star, 11-time first-team All-NBA, 3 trips to the finals, okay? Barkley, 1-time MVP, 11-time All-Star, 5-time first-team All-NBA. I don't want to say nothing about this man because I don't want him talking about me.
Yeah, you should probably just point out what this is.
Because he's watching. I want you to know that.
And then finally, Elgin Baylor.
Yeah.
I mean, you know he watches
So,
Ship Street.
and those are like three cats that kind of get shade and slight for like just the fact that they don't get a ring. And I'm willing to put Chris Paul right there on that mountain because he inevitably will be seen as the guy that didn't get a ring, but everyone who's a basketball aficionado could truly appreciate what he was doing out there.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Okay.
And this is kind of spicy. But if CP doesn't get it done, all 4 stages of CP3 deserve their own Mount Rushmore because the 3 players that you listed stayed with those teams for the most part. The Lakers, obviously the Jazz. Barkley bounced around just a little bit. But like CP3 has been the focal point of championship trades for the entirety of his career, whether it was the Lakers one that obviously got nixed, but then the Clippers. He was the guy in Lob City that was going to take the Clippers past mediocrity into a title. He was also that guy that they were supposed to team up with James Harden. He was going to be the difference, and that was going to bring Houston a title. The expectations weren't so high, obviously, in OKC. That was a rebuilding young team, but he did get them to the playoffs. And then the expectations weren't that high with the Suns. But then again, once they started picking up that traction, it was like, okay, this is because of CP3 that the Suns are in the position that they are in. So from the Clippers to the Rockets to the Suns, he's been the center of attraction. He's been the reason why people have said this is why they should win a championship. So if he goes 0 for 3 on those teams, CP3 from the Clippers, CP3 from the Rockets, and CP3 from the Suns. Don't at me, but that's just the way it's got to be.
Okay, I guess that makes a little bit of sense. Let's go to the Bucks side. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a really good basketball player, but
I'm a good human.
The Bucks went into this playoffs. He's also a really nice guy. The Bucks went into this playoffs, and they weren't necessarily the favorites to win. They have been the favorites in the past. If the Bucks win this title, is Giannis the best player in the NBA?
Hold on, real quick.
Tranquilo.
C-Dub, what do you think? Is he?
No.
Okay. Hard no.
I would just say no. Okay, I talked a lot of trash about Giannis earlier in the playoffs, especially with his free throw shooting, and I just feel like he's a very special player. But I want my MVP to have a little bit more, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that Giannis is the best player in the league.
So help me define the
That's a perfect segue, and I can't wait for Perk to join the program because he'll back me up on this. So I think Little League math here. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player on the Bucks.
Yeah.
I know Chris Middleton is in the conversation, but Giannis is the best
No,
player
he's the
on
best
the Bucks.
player. Yeah.
So if the Bucks win the championship, they're the best team in the association. So best player on the best team. Okay, so he's the best player. I think the only thing that's lacking with Giannis, because he's given us 40-point nights and ridiculous stats, is, Perk would say this, the jelly. Okay? He's not as suave as the scorers like KD and the Stephs, but he's giving you a hard 40 points. Like he fit perfectly in the 80s and 90s, right? The bully ball stuff. So best player, yes.
Okay, it can just be most dominant, and I don't think that that's a
There you
slight,
go.
right? Like Giannis is easily the most dominant player every time he sets foot on the court, right?
Yes.
He is the person that will turn the quarter regardless of whether or not you want him to, and then if he counters with that spin move, you're not stopping it either. For my
Get
money,
out of the
KD
way.
is the best player in the land, right? Like he is a man who can score at will. Defensively, yeah, he may have fallen off slightly because of the Achilles, but he's still that dude, and he's going to get it done. We've seen time and time again. So give me KD full stop as far as best player in the NBA right now.
KD has the jelly, but Giannis has the juice.
There it is.
Okay.
It makes
I
sense
thought
in
you were
my
going to say
head.
peanut butter. So one thing that no one has to make a case for is that no player in these playoffs has built a legacy like Giannis has. So let's take a look back at how his Bucks held off a run from the Suns to hold a 3-2 victory lead in Game 5.
We got to put some stops in a row. That's the deal. We just got to think about stops. Whatever we got to do on this end, we got to get in their way and get stops in a row, okay? So we can get out and run.
Now the lob for the rim. It hit the rim. Lopez couldn't catch it. Out in front to Booker. Booker against Holiday. Goes around on the right hand. Reverse layup and in. 35 for Booker.
Keep running. Keep running.
They go to Middleton against Bridges. 7 to shoot. On the drive. Step back. It's good. More Middleton magic. Whoa. Ball against Connaughton. Booker comes for the ball. Fires a three. Suzanne. 3-point game. 40 for Booker. Paul makes his move, gets inside. The running layup is good. It's a one-point game. Who can dig deep and find that something extra? Suns have a timeout. Decide not to call it. Booker the drive, gets inside, leans in. Knocked away and stolen by Holiday. Giannis slam it! How about that? Giannis on the alley-oop. What a turnaround!
The Milwaukee Bucks have come back. They've taken game 5. They dropped the first 2 in Phoenix, and they've won 3 in a row. The Bucks with a chance to win a championship at home Tuesday night.
You are watching Hoop Streams, and this is a look out at the Deer District. They are expected to have 65,000 fans out there tonight for Game 6, with another 17,000 going to the game. That would make this gathering of fans the 5th largest city in Wisconsin.
Top five.
All right, we want to welcome in someone that knows a little bit about the Milwaukee Bucks and a little bit about Deer District. Melanie Ricks, an arena host and host of 101.7 The Truth. So, Melanie, we have seen Deer District be as lit as it usually is, and we were talking offline how there's going to be 65,000 people there. So, kind of explain the atmosphere and what's going on around there.
So, first off, I mean, literally, Bucks fans everywhere you look. I saw a few Suns fans here and there, and that's fair and all, but there's no doubt we'll be dominating as far as numbers go. 65,000 is definitely nothing to sniff at. We've never had this many people here in the Deer District. And I have to say, the largest event I remember being here was Giannis's MVP party 2 years ago. So this is just going to be incredible. The energy, I mean, it's electric out here. Fans are just ready to go.
Yeah, I imagine they are. Like, the amount of support had to be only swelling with each round that the Bucks have advanced through. So what has that been like to be a part of, to witness firsthand?
I mean, it's just been incredible. To be honest with you, it's hard to put into words because I've been working with the organization actually since I was about 12 years old. I started out dancing and, I've kind of made my way up to hosting. And so, to be a part of history, I always say I'm a fan first before I'm a host. And so as a fan, I mean, this is just incredible. Our first time in 47 years going to the NBA Finals. So it's the first time in my lifetime. And I think for a lot of us here, it's a pretty young crowd that I see around me right now. I think for a lot of us, we're experiencing a lot of firsts with this team. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, the old Grizzly fans come in like just before tip-off because they want to avoid the crowds and then stay for the after party if Milwaukee closes things out in 6. I've been to Pfizer Forum. I think it is amazing. The infrastructure you guys have built around the arena draws the people in. But 65,000 people is so many people. Maybe a lot of people haven't been to Wisconsin, but give us like the scope of just how big that is, because there's towns in Wisconsin that don't have that many people.
Literally. So we're kind of joking that we're going to have to give Deer District its own zip code now. We have quite a few towns in Wisconsin that don't have 65,000 people. It's a bit of a smaller state, so it's pretty wild to have all of these fans here. And you guys, that's just in the Deer District. Think about what it's like downtown as a whole. I can't wait to get all of those numbers back. It's just going to be ridiculous.
So you talked about how you've been a fan since you were 12 years old. You've been involved in the organization since you were 12. So I know not just this season, but previous seasons, you've heard the Bucks in 6 chant. How ironic would it be? And where does it come from? And also how great and ironic would it be if you guys won in 6 tonight?
So I believe that everything happens for a reason. And when Brandon Jennings coined Bucks in 6, it was 8 years ago. We wanted to get out of the first round against Miami. And, we believed it then, and we've always believed it since. And it's kind of funny because we even have the social media handle Bucks in 6. Like, we've really embraced that term. And I think Brandon, he did it as a way of being like, don't give up. We got this. It's Bucks in 6. And it's just so funny, you guys, because that's the beauty in saying that everything happens for a reason. We had no idea that 8 years later, it would literally be Bucks in 6. Well, hopefully that is. Of course, we got to get that win tonight. But I mean, the fact that we're, the underdog team, we're the road team, we still won in Phoenix, and then to come home with the potential to win it in 6, it's like, it's a prophecy. It really is. It's pretty incredible to be a part of. And like I said, it's hard to find the words for it. It's just amazing.
Okay, Melanie, I got to put you on the spot because we're a bunch of capital J journos. So I need you to take off your fan hat and for just a minute, put on your Hooper hat and tell me how or why the Suns can make this thing competitive and ruin 65,000 plus the fans inside Pfizer Forum's night and force this thing back to Phoenix.
All right, hold on. Let me get this fan hat off. All right, Hooper hat on. The answer would be they can't.
Fair. So let's twist it the other way.
I had to tee it up at least.
You gave the opportunity.
Responsibilities.
Nothing wrong with it. Now, on the other side of that, should the Bucks close this thing out, how raucous is it going to be with those same 65,000 people?
It is going to be, raucous is actually the best word for it. I love that you use that. I'm all about vocab. Raucous is it. That's what it's going to be. It's funny, you guys, because we've actually been doing a fireworks show after every win since we won the Eastern Conference Finals. So just imagine what the fireworks would be like tonight. I think that it's safe to say that the city of Milwaukee is shut down for the rest of the week if we win in 6 here tonight. There is no doubt about it. I've already heard a bunch of people saying that they're taking off work tomorrow, potentially Thursday and Friday too. So that's what it is, you guys. Milwaukee, with us being, a smaller market, we're very tight knit. We come together. It's definitely that community feel here. And speaking of, I have to say it's been really wonderful to see so many different groups of people come together, and to celebrate our team. And what a positive thing to be celebrating, after such an unprecedented year that we've had. It's just remarkable that we're able to do this together here in the month of July, by the way.
Right.
Awesome.
Right. Okay, so I love that. And before, I know you're a fan, like we said, and I want to get a Bucks in 6 chant, but I first want to ask, what is the bathroom situation like in Deer District?
Valid. It's valid.
So that is a fair question, and I feel you. So it's mainly porta potties, and I am not a porta potty person myself. But in the Deer District, we have other restaurants here, such as the Mecca. We have Good City Brewing. We have The Gather. We have a lot of different restaurant options. So I would be dipping into the restaurants, or I would be walking myself to a bar. But I will say, once you're in Deer District, you're probably locked in. You know what I mean? So people are doing what they got to do. But yeah, that's the bathroom situation. That's hilarious that you asked, because I'm that type where I'll ask that question first too. I love that.
Where are the bathrooms?
Who's all going to be there?
Okay, I love it so much. Good luck tonight, Melanie. And can we get a Bucks in 6 chant as you leave?
Of course, I got you. Hey, can you do a Bucks in 6 with me? Bucks in 6! Bucks in 6! Bucks in 6!
Oh, you got the shirt.
Love that. Love that.
Hey, you got the shirt and everything.
I didn't even know we were going to do that.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Good luck, Melanie. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a good one, guys.
Bye. All right, so Bucks fans have been obviously very intense in the Deer District and beyond.
Fire.
This fan decided to get the Bucks logo or something that looks similar to it in the back of his head.
That boy ain't put no anti-inflammatory.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean something similar? That's a really good job. You are a hater.
Okay, listen, my barber in Miami was like pristine, so.
High standards from Christine Williamson.
You know what I'm saying?
I love the basketball off to the right.
Anyways, it reminded us of Gary's Phillies logo in the back of his head.
I will say, the lining is crisp. You can question the font all you want to, but I think the lining of it is very crisp.
You know who lined me up?
Who that?
Crispy Jean.
You lying. That's why it's crisp.
Shout out to her on Instagram. Yeah. I was in Philly doing a bit for a Sixers game on this very program.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't remember why I decided to straight razor the back of my head with a P. I have no affiliation or ties to Philly, but we do anything for the content around here. And what I will say is it took way longer than expected to go back.
That's how
right. Yeah, you probably just have to go ball fade, no guard up to the top for a good 2 weeks before you can do that. I'm actually glad that they actually used some sort of anti-inflammatory for you, because clearly yours had actually cleared up and the redness was gone. That young man before in Milwaukee had
like somebody slapped the back of his
just ski-bowed him, just right out the chair.
But it did look good, and we have to give a shout out to the actual barbers who lined those pieces up, because they only last for a fleeting moment. After 2 weeks, the artwork is gone, so tip your barbers.
Yes.
Tip your service workers.
I agree with that. I used to get my head shaved like that with a U, the University of Miami, and also the Ibis, Sebastian the Ibis from the University of Miami. Trevor and Gary
Let's
did
see the
not
back
know
of your head,
who
Christina.
that was. It's not like that now, but I used to get that. Shout out to Kane's Barber.
They don't know.
All right, you guys are watching Hoop Streams. Giannis Antetokounmpo getting ready for Game 6 tonight. He might not need to really adjust any of what he's doing, but the Suns guards know that they're going to have to make some adjustments tonight.
Coach said it all year long. You know, everything we want's on the other side of hard, and it don't get no harder than this.
Holiday, another long three. Got it. Holiday has been in command all night long.
We have to understand who the hot guy is and then make the adjustment in game. I just didn't do a good enough job helping our guys tonight.
I always say we hang our hat on the defense end, and that's where we have to be better.
Knocked away and stolen by Holiday. Antetokounmpo throws it down. What a turnaround.
We ready, man. We ready for the next game. If you soak about it, it's the blink of eye, the season's gonna be over. So we'll learn from it. We know what we have to do, but we ready, man. It's do or die. We lose, it's over. So we gotta go out there and play our way and go get Game 6.
Shout out Joey G on the edit there. A lot of pressure on the shoulders of duo of Devin Booker and Chris Paul. And you know, guys, we got a dynamic duo joining our show now. We missed you off the top of the show. Big Perk joining us from Milwaukee, and Richard Jefferson making a return.
Not today.
I want to know. I want to know why I get up and I got a bunch of Perk and Stephen A. Smith are going at you in my mentions. What did you do? What did you do?
I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing.
I trust
I was
no
my
one.
usual self. I was using myself. I was my usual self.
You were using
Richard.
yourself.
That's it.
Hey, let's go.
This has already gone off the rails. Y'all had enough time to talk to each other. Let's get into this Game 6. And Perk, you tweeted that CP3 needs CPR while watching that Game 5. It was a good line. It was a good line. What does he need to do tonight to put the Suns in position to force a Game 7?
Well, I mean, look, he gotta take this matchup with Drew Holiday personal, okay? And here's why. When you talk about this whole entire matchup, I'm not saying his stats. We already know CP3 could get 20 and 10 in his sleep. But right now, Drew Holiday don't want his insurance. Drew Holiday got Liberty Mutual. He don't want State Farm. CP3 has to bring that fire. He has to bring that edge. He has to take it personal because it trickles down to everyone else, especially DeAndre Ayton.
He's the Liberty Mutual. he didn't even go with Cliff Paul. He went Liberty Mutual. RJ, your thoughts on CP3? Let's stay with him.
Well, and this is the thing, I don't, sometimes we can pat ourselves on the back, but look, when it was going back to Game 5 and it was in Phoenix, and I was like, hey, everybody, we're just not going to talk about this Chris Paul history. We're not going to just talk about this. We've been on a Chris Paul love tour for the past 2 months, in the past 6 weeks, especially of Chris Paul, he deserves, and Chris Paul, then all of a sudden they're up 2-0 to Chris Paul. Then slowly but surely, and this is not to bash Chris Paul, this is just sometimes you got to look at things from an aerial view. And, he's got to raise his level. We saw him have 40 points in the closeout of the Clippers, right? And now here we are wondering what kind of numbers you're going to get from Chris Paul in an elimination game. He's got to step up. You need that 40-point, that 36, that I had 14 in the fourth quarter and looked unstoppable, Chris Paul, because that's what got you here. And if that's what got you here, you need to do it when you're here, or else you won't stay here and you will go home.
Yeah, I mean, Jacoby, he was the story of these playoffs. So if he doesn't end up winning this title, does it diminish his overall story at all?
Well, Chris Paul's legacy has been cemented. He's going to the Hall of Fame. We all know what he's done. And I'm not the guy who says you need to win a championship to be celebrated. You know what I mean? You don't need to win a championship to be celebrated. There are dozens of legends that are celebrated as some of the best ever played the game that don't have championships.
Dozens.
There are dozens. Maybe half a dozen, okay? But I'll say tonight, what's on the line for CP3, I think he's going to be a tough out. Like, I don't know him personally, but what I see on the floor, like, eliminating a team is difficult. And someone tells me that Chris Paul shows up tonight, and maybe he doesn't have 40, but he gets Ayton involved early because they need to get Ayton going early. And it does a little bit more orchestration and a little bit more on-ball handling, hitting the mid-range, and ends up with like 25 and 6 rebounds and 14 assists. Like, that's what I expect from him tonight.
Wait.
I mean, for
Cass,
me,
can I say something really quickly? I want to give people perspective. I lost in the national championship game, then 2 straight NBA finals. Then I lost in the Olympics. When I got to the NBA finals again in a 13-year gap, best believe my whole career was flashing before my eyes, right? Money's fine. Life is fine. Had a great career, 15 years. But your basketball life is flashing before your eyes when you get down 3-1 after all of those opportunities that were missed. Chris Paul's feeling that. I don't care what nobody's saying.
I mean, he has to. But you talk about his basketball career, just these last 2 years alone, he's reinvented himself, not just as one of the great leaders on the court, but what he did with the bubble, what he did with this year in the middle of a pandemic. I think that his legacy as one of the great leaders this game has ever seen cannot be hurt. I just think his legacy can only be helped if he, forces a Game 7, the Suns that is, and ends up winning the title. But I want to continue with a bit of a legacy question because we're at the end of the season here, and this is where legacies are made in the finals. And RJ, you said if Giannis wins the title, it would mean a lot because he did it the hardest way possible. What did you mean by that?
So when I mean hardest way possible, somebody was like, well, Shaq, Kobe got drafted into Shaq. And it was like, yeah, but it took them a while before they figured out the formula. They had to go get Phil Jackson. You had to bring in Robert Horry. Like, it wasn't easy said and done. And they still had to go through guys like San Antonio with Tim Duncan and with David Robinson. I think when you do it the hardest way possible, that means you do it in a place you got drafted in a very, very small market. I love the pairing of Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. They've both been all-stars, but I wouldn't necessarily say that there are 2 superstars on the team. It's not the Jordan and Pippen. It's not the Shaq and Kobe. It's not that. So I truly think that this was one of the more difficult ways. And for him to get this done right after he signed a big contract after 2 very subpar performances in the postseason that really had him and the Milwaukee organization being bashed for how they were handling the coaching and all this other stuff. I think this is the hardest way that you could probably get this done. And so kudos to him.
Well, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I loved the fact that he stayed in a small market and people came to him, but let's not forget what happened with the Nets. Like, let's not forget that James Harden was hurt and Kyrie Irving was hurt. And let's not act like a healthy Nets team would run through this Bucks team just like they did in those first 2 games. So it wasn't exactly the hardest way possible. But I understand what you're saying philosophically.
Didn't face Kawhi Leonard. Didn't face Jamal Murray. You could do that over and over again.
Yeah,
with,
Anthony
every
Davis
champion.
was hurt the whole time. Yeah, every champion. Let's not all of a sudden start picking apart. Oh, Perk, you want to talk now?
Yeah, I do want to talk. Thank you. And here's the thing when you talk about injuries, right? You need a lot of luck to win the championship. But also, you do have to finish the job. And I thought the Milwaukee Bucks did what they were supposed to do. Like, whether they went to Game 7 or whatever the case may be with the Brooklyn Nets, whether they had to play against the Hawks and Trae Young got hurt, they still had to finish the job, and I thought they did that. Giannis got hurt, and Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday had to carry the load in Game 5 and Game 6. So, I mean, we could talk about it all different ways, but here it is right now. They're going against a team that is really healthy. They got all their stars. Yes, they're missing Cyrich. I think he's a huge part. But other than that, these teams are evenly matched. And right now, when you look at games 1 and 2, it looked like Phoenix was going to run away with this. And I never get too high because I know at home you're just supposed to take care of your business at home and do what you do, and that's win the game. But they look like they were totally completely 2 different teams, like by the margin of wins. But then Milwaukee, all of a sudden, here we are today. They didn't win 3 consecutive wins. Mike Budenholzer is coaching his tail off, out-coaching Monty Williams in this part of the series. They have made an adjustment. Giannis has embraced the role of being the center now, being the 5 guy, rolling to the basket, and in the clutch, he has done a great job of deferring to Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. So I'm watching growth right in front of our eyes from Giannis. Character, humility, sacrifice. That's what I'm getting most from Giannis right now, besides the 30, 12, and 5 that he's putting up nightly.
RJ, finally, I mean, are you giving Coach Bud credit if the Bucks pull this off? And also, what do you think happens tonight?
No, I 100% give him Coach Bud credit. This is an Arizona man with Arizona roots. So,
Yes.
you know, my thing is real though. No, we have been critical of Bud. A lot of people have. I have. When we saw that Giannis at the top of the key with 4 people out, then there was boxes and elbows, and that's how they were going down in series. That's how they lost 4 straight. That's how it lost the Miami Heat. We were critical. We were critical of Giannis, and we were critical of Bud. Now, if they win this championship, at some point in time, like, listen, whether we like it or not, whether we thought people were injured or not, they got through one of the more difficult seasons in NBA history. They were primarily healthy. They actually overcame some stuff, and they were able to pull it off and win a championship. You got to tip your hat to them.
So, you think they take care of business tonight?
Yeah.
Are they celebrating tonight?
I was the Suns in 6 guy, and now that the Suns aren't going to be able to get it done in 6, I would be surprised to see with all of this out here, with everything on the court, 3 straight, I would be surprised to see Milwaukee pull this off or not be able to pull this off.
Would you really be surprised, like, being in that moment? You know the anxiety of being, Richard, right? Like, you know the anxiety of being at home. You know how it feels to close out a game. You know how it feels to have in the back of your mind that you seeing the champagne in the closet. You seeing all this, but you still have to go out there and play the game of basketball if you're the home team. Like, it's so much riding on the Milwaukee Bucks right now, and it's a lot riding on the Phoenix Suns, but I think it's more on the Milwaukee Bucks side. I'm looking at this game tonight, and I think it's going to be closer than what people think. I actually think that the Phoenix Suns are going to come in here and pull it out because I feel like the Bucks are going to relax. And also the Phoenix Suns feel... Yes, I do. You can say no. Yes.
Y'all sound like my kids.
This game might be over. This game might be over. Like they might start the party in middle of the 4th quarter. This party might start early.
You know what?
Wow.
You know what? When 2 men disagree, the next word is bet.
Word should be bet. Let's go. So whatever you want.
All right.
Bet.
So what do you guys bet? Can I say a bet? Whoever loses the bet needs to go, because you guys are both in Milwaukee, needs to go to the Deer District.
100%. And I've been saying this now that we are officially off the clock. If Milwaukee wins this, I will out-chug whatever offensive lineman they can show up that will show up to the Deer District. Whoever wants to, anybody wants to do a little vote.
Someone tweet at David Bakhtiari.
David Bakhtiari, it's a wrap, dude. I got you. I'm ready. I just felt like Milwaukee people were getting too much credit.
I didn't know you had that in your bag, Rich.
It's a little Arizona frat party.
Yeah.
I mean, this may be on the internet, but the camera's recording, so we'll clip that off and we'll hold you to it. Thank you, Richard.
I
just called you Richard. I don't know what that was about.
Fine.
Thanks,
That's
RJ.
fine. Most people do. Thanks.
All right, as I said, this could be the final game of the season, so we thought we'd take a look back at some of the best all-access and mic'd-up moments from the finals.
Thank you.
Hey, man, I'm going to need us to lock in, bro. Don't get nervous now. Playing for it all, boy. Oh! Come on, bro. Oh, yeah! Let's go. That was good. I like it. All night, Drew, all night. Great job, Brooklyn. This is the finals, boy. Screen, get through, y'all. Bicep, we! Oh! Come on! Methodical, keep going. Go dominate the game with force. Let's go. Let's get it. 4th quarter, baby. Crunch time. BP, see it a little bit. He's cutting. Play the middle. Give me some help, y'all. Come on, lock up.
We got better tonight. I can feel it. We can feel it. We're getting better. We're going to go home.
will be better at home.
Everything you want is on the other side of hard. This is hard. This is freaking hard. So you got to stick together. That's the deal. All right? Let's bring it in. Come on, guys.
Oh my goodness. Fun fact, 65,000 fans out there in the Deer District, combined with a sold-out crowd inside. I'm seeing on Twitter would be good for the 5th largest city in Wisconsin. Look, fear the Deer. Whether or not you like the name of Deer District, they came out and are showing out. And one of the best moments here on Hoop Streams is when Dave McMenamin joins the show live from Milwaukee. And Dave, before we get into this game a little bit, can you just talk about the scene out there and how Milwaukee fans have showed up for this Game 6?
Cassidy, it is unreal. I was at the arena at about 11 a.m. today. We're talking 10 hours before tip-off, and there was already a group of people lined up then. And as the day has gone on, it's just like people are multiplying. It's like rabbits having babies. Everywhere you look, you see this dark hunter green and fans back to back to back. It's unbelievable. And man, we got the Richard Jefferson binge drinking talk going. I think after that chugging contest happens, he needs to go out there and crowd surf. That's the only only thing Richard should be doing the rest of his life. Crowd surf out in Deer District for the former Buck.
Yes, with his mask on, of course. But yes, that's what I was thinking was going to be the bet. But he took a left turn. And I'm going to take a left turn now and talk about your article on ESPN.com right now about the Suns' confidence despite facing elimination for the first time these playoffs. What can you tell us about their approach heading into the game tonight?
Well, Cassidy, I asked Chris Paul about this. Like, obviously, there's pressure involved in an elimination game in the NBA Finals. That just comes with the territory. But I was like, as a lifer in the NBA, as a guy who's been playing since you were a teenager at a high level, this sport, are you kind of embracing this because it's trying to master the game of basketball at the ultimate level? And he told me, I actually am excited. He said, if you told me back before the season began, we'd be in this spot, win 2 games in a row, the second one at home to win the NBA championship, I would have taken it. And he said, this is real now. This isn't a simulation. This isn't talk. And this is a time for us to control our own destiny. So to hear him say that, to hear Monty Williams say he looked everybody in the eye when they got on the plane, and he said they had the same look that they had when we were up in the series, tells me that even though Richard thinks this could be a blowout, I don't think so. I'm not saying the Suns are going to win, but they're not going to lay down.
Well, I mean, Devin Booker certainly didn't lay down. Back-to-back 40-point games, but both times it wasn't enough. What are your observations about how he's approaching tonight's elimination game?
I mean, the guy is such an offensive maestro. And to see him take whatever the Bucks are throwing at him, especially after that poor performance he had in Game 3 of only 10 points, and respond the way he has, really makes me believe that the NBA's in a good spot if you have a 24-year-old like that showing out on this stage. Now, tonight it's going to have to be about more than just him. The Bucks have been playing a defensive scheme where it's a lot of one-on-one coverage of Devin while making sure that they cut off the perimeter passes. The Suns only attempted 19 threes in Game 5. That number has to go way up. They should be shooting threes in the 30s to get guys like Mikal Bridges going, get Jay Crowder going, get even more shots for Chris Paul and Cameron Payne and Cameron Johnson. And then if Booker gets you 40, you probably win, versus when he was scoring 40 and not having enough help.
I mean, Perk, what adjustments, if there are any, do you want to see out of Monty Williams?
Well, with me, when I think about it, Cass, I'm thinking about when I see adjustments, I want to see them get their identity back on both ends of the floor, right? Look, we're watching Devin Booker have spectacular performances back-to-back 40 pieces, and I get that, right? But that's good for Devin Booker. It's not good for the Phoenix Suns. It allows the Milwaukee Bucks to load up and take away everything else. That's why we were able to see Drew Holiday get a strip, because nobody was moving. Everybody was standing around watching them go isolation. And when you look at the defensive side of things, I would like to see DeAndre Ayton fight Giannis a little bit more. I know he's hesitant because of foul trouble, but look, KG used to always say, and I used to watch Kevin Garnett a lot, the way he used to defend people. He says, you know what? The best way to defend somebody is to not let them catch the ball. So do your work early. Make it hard on Giannis. Meet him early. Deny him. Front him. Do whatever you can. Don't just let him feel comfortable. Make him uncomfortable. And if he do catch it, then guys have to be ready to dig. Guys have to be ready to snap down and be ready to trap the box and then X out and rotate, challenge shots, and stay away from stupid fouls. That's the biggest thing that irks me about the Phoenix Suns is the dumb fouls, whether it's from Devin Booker, CP3, Jay Crowder, Ayton. They do that as a team, and they need to stay away from that tonight.
Dave, you have followed the Suns throughout these entire playoffs. They have been the best road team in the NBA. They have yet to face elimination until tonight throughout this postseason. From what you've observed and gathered throughout these playoffs, what gives you confidence that they could pull something off tonight and force a Game 7?
Well, I just don't think they're fazed by this moment. I don't believe that they have any sort of shock factor saying, oh, we can't go into this building. Because guess what? They went into Staples Center and beat the defending champs. They went to Denver and swept the league MVP. They went back to Staples Center and won Game 6 on the road, taking care of the Clippers team that everyone's been talking about the last 2 seasons as being predestined to win a championship. And against this team, look at the last game you played in Milwaukee. You led 38 of the first 44 minutes in game number 4. So obviously you can play well enough to win against this team in this building. You just gotta close things out, play with some grit, play with some toughness, share the ball. Listen, they could get beat because the Bucks are really good, but I don't believe they're gonna beat themselves.
All right, make sure to check out Dave's work on ESPN.com and, of course, follow him on Twitter with game updates at Mick10. Always appreciate you joining us on Hoop Streams. Enjoy the game, Dave.
All right, thanks, everybody.
I hate losing. It's going to hurt. It's not going to be easy. You're going to get knocked down, eliminated, humiliated. MJ went through that. LeBron went through that. All those things is part of being great.
You cannot keep me down.
We are built for this. The job is not done.
You cannot keep me
down. Oh my goodness. Every shot of the Deer District takes my breath away. It is insane out there. They've expanded it, if you hadn't known, from, I believe, 25,000 to 65,000 people allowed in the Deer District out there. They are ready for Game 6. We're about a little under 3 minutes away from the start of Game 6 on ABC and also live on the ESPN app if you log into your cable providers now. And as we count down, let's welcome back our whole crew. And guys, I got an important update that I need to get in here. It's hot off the presses. Oh, yes, I'm in the lead again. You know, despite all the efforts to keep me down.
That was smooth.
Makes sense. Yeah, okay.
But also shout out to Perk for getting out of the basement, Perk.
Yeah.
You know, now Treavor is down to the bottom. I'm sorry, Trev.
Appreciate it, Chris.
I'm in the lead again, up by 43 points. It's I don't know how it's not close because y'all cheated, but I mean I don't even want to start to think about what the score would be if last week didn't happen. But I'm feeling pretty good. I do want to pick back up here with Jacoby and your thoughts on. I don't know. I don't think we got your Game 6 prediction. How are you feeling?
You know what? I love doing hoop streams. And there's going to be another hoop streams on Thursday night at 8 o'clock, live on Twitter and YouTube, because I got the Suns tonight. I have the Suns winning the game. It's hard to beat a team in an elimination game. Let's not forget how close the last two games have been. Let's not forget how the Phoenix Suns were up by 16, like after a quarter and a half on the last game. I think everyone's been just fitting the Bucks for rings for the last 2 days, just ready for the Deer District, preparing the champagne, the celebration, and Chris Paul is going to spoil the party with Devin Booker and the Suns. Wow.
Gary, you got a lot of faces. Explain them.
Yeah, Jacoby, you and I were riding through the thick of it. Game 5, we were the only believers that Milwaukee was going to pull it off on the road. Now the entire state of Wisconsin is surrounding Pfizer Forum, so I don't even want to think about what's going to happen if the Bucks don't pull it off tonight. They might make everybody stay inside and play Game 7 right then and there if that's the case. I see the Bucks closing things out. Giannis can taste it. Chris Middleton can taste it. Jrue Holiday playing the perfect accentuating piece. Like, Milwaukee's taking care of business at home. I just don't see how they don't.
Trevor, I mean, you're not going to win fantasy, but who do you think is going to win the game tonight?
I'm not winning fantasy. But no, yeah, I'll take Milwaukee at home, actually, just for all the reasons that Gary just said. I'll just go ahead and echo all of that. Couple that with the idea that I think this is something that it's a crowning for Giannis officially when it goes down.
Christine, I'm going Bucks. I just think Giannis is not going to let this opportunity out of his grip. Just getting insight on his mentality, these finals, I'm just been overall impressed, and I think he's all the way locked in.
I am going to go with our friend David Jacoby and say that the Suns are going to win tonight because you mentioned how Giannis is not going to let this one slip. That's a lot of pressure, and I don't feel like Giannis is much of a pressure guy.
What?
So, this is the reason that hurt. Why does Chris Middleton get called Batman by people sometimes?
Some people.
We're not
You
starting
can't
this right now.
subtweet
Some
when the
people-
man is right on the screen.
Some person. Because he's Batman, I don't think Giannis is going to be able to pull it out. I feel like there's a lot of pressure. There's 65,000 people outside. That's a lot of pressure. I think
They don't got to shoot. They don't got to get rebounds. Giannis will.
Perk, we saved you for last. Game's about to tip off. You got the final word.
I'm going with the Phoenix Suns tonight, and here's why, right? When you think about this type of pressure, when you're pulling up to the arena as a player, and you see the atmosphere, you see all the fans, you see the new stage, the concert, you walking into the arena, you see the closet with the champagne, it's a different type of feeling. Now those shots that you're usually taking, it's taken with a whole lot of anxiety behind it, because now you're in the back of your mind, you're like, man, I just get through this game. I just got to get this win at home, and then we're going to be able to celebrate. As a player, you feel that way. And with zero experience, right, and I'm talking about guys with their first time being in the playoffs with the Milwaukee Bucks, and far as closing out a team in the finals to win the championship, and you don't have nobody in that locker room to constantly preach as a player what it means. I mean, hey, I got to go with the Phoenix Suns. I think they're on a mission tonight. I feel like they're going to come out. They're comfortable in this gym, although they didn't get a win, but I think they're going to win tonight.
I mean, your background looks like you're anchoring nightly news, so I'm going to take what you say as facts and say that, we'll see you guys on Thursday if there's a Game 7.
Yeah, you will.
No, we won't. I'm not going to be here.
Enjoy the game. Log into your cable providers now if you want to watch live on the app. Man, Perk, you better go out to the Deer District because I'll hop on a plane just to join that crowd. Enjoy the game, everybody. Thanks for watching.
That is sick. That's insane.